Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan, joined by Pete. Hey, Pete, what's up today?
Not much, buddy. How are you?
Big day, big day. We have reviewed the just recently released new installment from the Predator franchise, Predator Badlands, just released a day ago in theaters, maybe not even released everywhere. You and I breathlessly saw it. Today is a Saturday morning. I saw it on a late Friday night, early Saturday. I think you saw it on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go through first. Did you see this movie coming, and what was your level of anticipation for it?
So I did see this movie coming.
Okay.
I am a fan of the Predator and Aliens franchise. Normally, regular listeners will know I'm not a fan of quote-unquote scary horror type movies. This is one of those franchises that isn't really a scary horror type, or at least not the modern definition of a horror movie, but I still love it. I'm a fan of the Predator franchise, the Alien franchise. I've played the games. I've watched the movies. I've watched the crossovers. I'm all in.
I would say I'm a few steps below you on that. I mean, the original Predator, groundbreaking, cannot say enough about it. I mean, that movie is timeless for good and bad reasons. One, I mean, the Predator physically was fantastic. Two, there's so much unintentional comedy between Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, the dialogue and everything. So I think it's unintended comedy for that, but the Predator was just fantastic. It was groundbreaking at the time. After that, I've kind of followed loosely the Predators, Alien versus Predator. I did see Prey, which stars a Predator in a different series. The trailer for this looked pretty solid. I was not unexcited to go see it, but I wouldn't say that it's like something that I marked on my calendar and I was like, oh, I can't wait until Friday. I can't wait to see this, So I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't like breathless with anticipation. So now that we've got our expectations out on the table, did this meet your expectations? Tell me about what you thought about the movie.
It was interesting.
Oh boy.
I don't want to say it was good or bad, but it was definitely not what I expected.
Okay.
So we've typically seen the Predator franchise have the Yautja be the bad guys, as it were.
Yeah.
They may not be the bad guys, but they're certainly not the primary protagonists. Let's put it that way. In the Aliens versus Predator franchise, they're neither the good or the bad.
There's
guys,
no good
right?
guy.
Yeah.
Even if you remember the opening statement in this movie, the Yautja are
neither friend or foe. Yeah, they're friend to no one or foe to no. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something like
they're like,
that.
We're just predators.
Yeah.
We're not friends and we're not enemies.
Yeah.
We're just predators.
We're just the predator. Exactly. So it was interesting to see that role dynamic change because in this movie, we are looking at a predator, young predator named Deck.
Yep.
Who is the good guy. Like, he's the protagonist of this movie.
I mean, he's very humanized, right?
More than any other series we've ever seen him in.
Yeah. I mean, I was reading not a preview, but kind of like a contextual piece in advance. And it said this is the first time that the language has been developed, and apparently a specific linguist came in to create it. Yes, I mean, you see much more interaction between, the predator species, and you see a communication that heretofore was never available, and the emotions are very human, right? Like, again, the opening line was like, hey, we're not friends, we're not foes, we're just predators. That's not really a human thing. It's put into human terms, but it's not really a human thing. The rest of the movie, the emotions were very loyalty, right? Was kind of a theme. Revenge, was a theme. They were very human emotions driving what was taking place action-wise on the screen.
Yeah, that's what I mean by when I say it's interesting, because that
Yeah.
is not how I know the Predator.
That's right.
The Predator is always on a mission to prove themselves as the best hunter.
That's right.
And in this case, he's on that same mission. But you're right. I think emotion is exactly right. I think
Yeah.
previously they were just emotionless, almost like robots who are like, this is my mission. I have to achieve it at all costs. And if I die, I die.
Is this the first Predator we've seen where there's been interaction between or among predators?
No, in one of the Alien versus Predators franchise, you see a pack of predators.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this is the first one where you see them as like a family structure, right? There's a father,
Yeah.
there's a brother, they're
A mother.
protecting each other, and then we're introduced to, or not introduced, but the implication is made that the mother is also there,
Right.
which will be the
Right.
first female predator I've seen.
Father and brother and mother are one thing because in a way those are reproductive relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't use husband and wife, but when you see the idea of the mother and the father, it makes you think that there's like some type of like love or family structure, which I thought kind of blew that out,
Well, yeah, there'll be some kind of structure. I don't know how that
Yeah.
works yet. We don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll explore that in the next movie whenever they make
Yeah.
the next movie.
Which is coming. I thought this was the right length. I'm already dreading Avatar. I mean, even the trailers for Avatar I feel like are too long. And it was refreshing that this was hour and 45 runtime. And when you cut out all the previews and the post stuff, it was probably a little bit less than that. I thought that was, like you said, absolutely did not go away disappointed. Timing wise, true, they could have cut away, 5 or 10 minutes and it wouldn't have damaged the film. I thought from that perspective, I didn't get fatigue. I like the fact that Deck was a little bit more humanized. And even though there's no humans in this movie, the idea to have Elle Fanning there as a synth who for the most part is tied to his back like Chewbacca or 3PO to Chewbacca, right? In the old Star Wars. I thought that was a good way to introduce another human element into it without explicitly being a human, because obviously humans could not survive on this planet. It would just be too awkward overall. So I thought this was a very good compromise to get a human element in it or a relationship element without actually putting a human in the film.
Yeah,
it would have been boring without Elle Fanning.
Definitely, but it would have been more like an Aliens movie, or it would have been more like a Predator movie.
It would have been.
It would have been interesting if there was no dialogue, if it was almost like a 1.5 hour long silent movie.
Just like a hunt.
Which is just an 1.5 hour long hunt and all the trials and tribulations. I think, look, that is a Predator movie I would watch. I don't know how much it would do well in the cinema, but it's definitely something I would watch.
I think leads to maybe the next point that we're going to focus on, which is this is not a traditional tracking and hunting movie, right?
No, not at all.
Like there's not really a lot of emphasis on looking at following a blood trail or looking for footprints or
almost none. He once in a while will pick up what looks like either poo or mud and be like, Kalisk.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, how did you know? You've never seen this thing. Like, how do you know? What is this thing that makes you determine that that's the right thing to go?
That's right. You have no idea what it looks like. It could be small for all you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. It's definitely more Jumanji-like or Jurassic Park-like in terms of, hey, we're chasing this thing, and it's all about the journey and the people along the way, right?
Exactly. Actually, that's right. That's exactly right.
Not in an unlikable way, but also not in a, oh my God, I've got to see this as a sequel. I can't get enough kind of way, right?
I like that they introduced Weyland-Yutani again in this.
That was pretty clever.
The connection of the Alien franchise to this. I expect that there's going to be some kind of Aliens versus Predator franchise crossover again,
Without question.
right? Or at least a modern version
Yeah.
of it, and maybe not a cheesy version of it.
Yeah.
I like the fact that for once the Wayland Yutani Corporation did the right thing by only sending a team of synths to a planet.
Yeah.
Like the idea of sending humans anywhere when you have synths is stupid.
Yep.
And again, the only reason this mission fell apart for Wayland Yutani is because they gave them empathy. They gave
Yep.
two of the synths empathy,
That's right.
and they shouldn't have. If they
Yep.
didn't have the empathy, this mission would have gone off flawless.
Absolutely right.
Right.
What
So it's
a
always
lesson
the
to
human
learn.
element that ruins
What a
it.
lesson to learn, right? Yeah. I mean, it's funny that it's a human element that killed Wayland Yutani's characters. It's a human element that saved the Predator.
Right, exactly. I thought this movie did a very good job with its action sequences.
Yeah.
I thought the world was well realized, like
Oh yeah.
the hazards and like
Yeah.
the razor grass, that
Yeah.
bison, the bone bison or
Yeah.
whatever. I wasn't a huge fan of the lack of the traditional predator hallmarks of technology. Like they
Yeah.
had some cool stuff like the new plasma
Yeah.
sword and the bow and arrow.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what you thought about the technology, and I agree that it wasn't really great. Like he didn't really rely on his armband a lot, and you would expected that there would have been more sequences where he would have used that to kind of get out of a jam.
And I get it. He's a rookie. He doesn't have access to all that tech. But like what would have
Yeah.
been interesting is like he goes back to the crash ship and he finds his brother's secret armor room,
Yep.
which has all that stuff. And then he
Yeah.
kits himself out as
That's
like
right.
the ultimate badass predator. I think
Mhm.
that would have been more interesting. But
Yep.
I get what they were saying. I get what they were doing.
Yep.
It was not interesting for me to see Elle Fanning's bad guy counterpart use the plasma cannon on her shoulder. So there were a couple of elements that I would have changed, but overall, I thought it was an absolutely serviceable Predator.
I feel the same way. I was engaged and enjoyed watching it. And I felt like after I got out of the cinema, it didn't really stick with me.
Yeah,
There's been movies, good and bad, that's like, man, I just can't get over that character. Like I admire that character so much, or I dislike that character so much, or like, what would I do in this scenario, or should they have done that? Like some movies really stick with me, and it's not always movies I like, right? I mean, it can stick with you for a good or bad reason. This I felt once I left, it really just kind of like washed away, and I was like, yeah, okay, that was an enjoyable movie, an interesting spin or take on Predator himself. Definitely, he is the underdog, right? Deck is wanted to be as perceived as the underdog. Although, for purposes of the planet, I'm okay with that. For purposes of kind of the last scene where he comes back and kills the two guards and then kills his father, who has a cloak, by the way, and then kind of like fears his mother, who is obviously landing, and there's going to be a standoff. I didn't necessarily think that he had become a better fighter during his time on the planet.
exactly.
He lost to his brother in fights all the time.
Yeah.
Or not all the time, the one time that we saw it. It didn't seem like he honed his skills, right? He didn't have like this Rocky montage where he's like, throwing spears at trees, or he's like slashing, or he's like doing all these different like things, right? He didn't really improve his fighting. If anything, it probably diminished because he didn't fight that much, or he didn't fight at a high level. But the way that he was kind of able to come back, I guess it was like an exercise in self-confidence or determination or something. But I thought that whole thing was a little bit,
It would have been interesting is if he had used the tools from that planet to defeat his father, like the alien that spits out
yeah,
the
yeah,
acid. If he
yes,
had struck him while he was cloaked and then the cloak
yeah,
starts getting damaged, and
yeah,
that's why I thought
yeah,
that would have been more interesting.
yeah. I mean, I thought he was just going to kind of bring the trophy and he was going to be in, but then realized that like he didn't really want to be a part of this and, leave and do something else,
Yeah. I think you're right. This is a serviceable movie. It doesn't leave a bad taste in your mouth. It doesn't
No.
leave you wanting more. It's check your brain in at the door, watch 90 minutes of a good action sequence, great visual effects,
Yeah.
and
How
walk
much did
away
this
and
movie
just be like,
cost to make?
105 million.
I mean, that's about right. I feel like the beauty of this movie is in the simplicity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that's what's going to prevent it from really being a classic or overanalyzed or really, to be honest, have a really successful cinematic run. I think the reviews are going to be a little bit middling. And I feel like the word of mouth is going to be a little bit uninspired. And it will have a good weekend or so because of the intellectual property, because the Predator brand still means something and carries something with it. What's the max for this movie, do you think? 300 million?
Maybe. I don't think it's crossing a $500 million.
Oh, no. I think it's 300, 400, which is still profitable movie. And
This is an expensive movie for the franchise,
yeah,
but to be fair, you see where that money has gone. You know how in the past we've seen budgets where we're just like,
we're
where did you
flummoxed.
spend $200 million? Like,
Exactly.
I don't understand. Whereas
Here it's
in this,
clear.
you're just like, all right, 105 million, expensive, but yeah, you see it on the screen. It's a lot of great effects, a lot of good visuals, a lot of good sci-fi elements. They're
Yeah,
fun.
I thought the visuals are very good. I mean, that
Yeah.
entire planet is essentially fabricated, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park, I mean, sometimes it's like, oh, we're in a different place, but they're on a beach, right? I mean,
Yeah, they're in some Hawaiian resort, or they're in
exactly.
some, I mean, in this case, they were in New Zealand. And by the way, some of the shots were stunning.
That's right. Okay, what's your rating of this movie?
This is as solid a wait for streaming as possible.
Totally agree. In fact, I told my brother as much. He messaged me. I said, like, I'm going to the cinema and I'm going to go see Predator. He's like, let me know how it goes. And I messaged him when I'm out. I'm like, yeah, it was good. But I said directly, you can just wait for streaming.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I don't want to say that's a negative indictment, but I think that's a very clear explanation of where this movie is, which is you definitely don't need to see this on an IMAX, if it's even playing on an IMAX. You don't need to see this on a huge theater. It's not about the sound. It's not about the experience, although they are enhanced, but you're absolutely going to get the same level of joy and glee out of this if you watch it on your own, reasonably good sized, television system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Pete, before we sign off with our jointly agreed ranking that this is a wait for streaming, can you remind everybody of our YouTube and other social media creds so that they can ring the bell, give us a thumbs up, like, launch, agree, disagree, give comments, or tell us why we are wrong about this film and why it's the most amazing Predator film ever made. I'd love to hear that argument.
Absolutely. Like this video, leave a comment below, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you know when the next episode of the Films and Stuff podcast drops for you.
All right, Pete, that's a wrap for today. We will see all of our listeners next week, next episode, Films and Stuff podcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.